Okay. So today I will take an assortment of topics. The first one is a paper from cell biology, and that is nucleus. And then I will uh, I will talk about certain aspects, one aspect of digestion and feeding in protozoa. This is the next part. So some nutrition aspects. Yeah, the nutrition in protozoa, you have studied that it's holozoic, this, but then the real mechanism of feeding and digestion, it has not been covered. So we will cover that part is for protozoa today. And the next day, I will compare porifera and coelenterata. And I will take a cell biology topic also together. So today, I'll start with nucleus. You people should tell me where if you are able to see the screen. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So the word nucleus, it means kernel. Kernel basically it comes from seed, what is inside, absolutely the core inside. It means it's something which is inside. So if you have a fruit like this, in between the seed, this is known as, this is the kernel. So the word has been derived from that kernel. It means a seed. Similarly, in Linux, the central program is also known as kernel, the Linux kernel in Linux operating system. So what is the nucleus? It is a double membrane bound cell organelle present in eukaryotic cell. So if you see this picture, I will increase the size. You see that there are two membranes. This light blue color, this is one membrane, this is the other membrane. So it has got two membranes. So it has got two membranes. One is the outer and the other is the inner. So this is the outer. Outer one is facing the, this is the cytoplasmic side, cytoplasm side. And this is inside the nucleus. So one is the outside cytoplasm side, outer membrane, and inside nucleus side. Now, interesting feature of this is that this nuclear membrane, both these two nuclear membranes, they are joint. You can see they are joint. They are not separate. They are joint in this region. So it is continuous. Also, this nuclear membrane from in this region, you can see it is continuous with the cisternae of the endoplasmic, rough endoplasmic reticulum. These are little stacks of endoplasmic reticulum. You can see that from the, it is continuous. And the space in between, it is known as intermembrane space. Let's take a different color. I'm not liking this color. This is the, below the lower membrane, you have the region known as lamina. It's made up of, it's a cytoskeleton. Basically, you have learnt about intermediate filaments. Intermediate intermediate filament. Then this happens at this region which you see it. This is nothing but this is the heterochromatin. Heterochromatin is inactive chromatin. And what is the chromatin? Chromatin is your basically DNA plus some protein which package. So this is inactive chromatin. Okay. So this is how this is the essential structure of a nucleus. Now in the nucleus, I'm just cleaning up whatever it is written here. Okay. On top of the nucleus, you find these little structures and also on top of the endoplasmic reticulum, and they are the ribosomes. The ribosomes are places where protein translation takes place. Translation. What is translation? Synthesis of proteins. You must have read that synthesis of proteins takes place in the ribosomes. So on the top of the endoplasmic reticulum. So these are the ribosomes sitting. These are the ribosomes sitting on top of the ribosomes over here. They are sitting on top of the endoplasmic reticulum. Okay. Then there are several proteins associated, several integral proteins. In plasma membrane, you have read there are proteins which span throughout the membranes, and they are known as integral membrane proteins. Some are peripherals on the surface, and some span. So the ones which are on the surface, they are the peripheral proteins, and the ones which span throughout the membrane, they are known as integral proteins. So several of these intermediate filaments, these proteins are present. You have the actin filament, you have the nespirin 1 and 2 proteins, you have nespirin 3 proteins, you have several proteins. Apart from that, another important structure which is present, that is the nuclear pore complex. So in between the nucleus, there are regions known as nuclear pore. The hole through which proteins and RNA come in and go out. Messenger, I'll draw the central dogma first. I have to explain to you what the central dogma is. Okay. So what is the central dogma? Let us see what is the central dogma. The central dogma says that if this is the DNA, through the process of transcription, RNA is made. This RNA in eukaryotes is processed to form messenger RNA. And now this in eukaryotes, let's talk about this in eukaryotes. Let's talk about this in eukaryotes, not in prokaryotes. So this process, it takes place inside the nucleus. this transcription. This mRNA now goes to the cytoplasm. It shuttles out, or it goes to the cytoplasm. And this is the mRNA in the cytoplasm to which ribosomes bind. Now these ribosomes, they synthesize proteins. So this is how from DNA you have the proteins being made. Now, just for your information, ribosomes, they may be attached to endoplasmic reticulum ER, or they may be free cytosolic or cytoplasmic ribosomes. So translation, they take place on top of the ribosome, or they can take place freely in the cytoplasm. It depends upon which type of protein is being transcribed. So this is essentially the central dogma in eukaryotes, from DNA to RNA, RNA to protein. In viruses, sometimes it happens that you have through a process known as reverse transcriptase, an enzyme. It converts messenger RNA to cDNA. So this is the central dogma. Now let us get back to our nucleus. So what this nuclear pore complex does, this nuclear pore complex allows the movement of messenger RNA, which is transcribed inside the nucleus from these DNA strands. It allows it to go outside into the cytoplasm. It also allows certain proteins which are made in the cytoplasm to come inside, allows entry and exit of proteins and messenger RNA. Now, let's reduce the size once more. So these two outer and inner membranes, they are separated by 10 to 50 nanometers. They're separated. And there are about 60 distinct transmembrane proteins. So the ones which span the protein, if this is the membrane, this protein is spans, it's covered. If it's over here, this is peripheral. But this is integral. So below that, in pink, you can see the nuclear lamina. This is the heterochromatin. Heterochromatin is nothing but DNA plus packaging proteins, histones and other proteins which are present. They are the packaging proteins. Now let us go into details about the nuclear lamina. So nuclear lamina is made up of intermediate filaments. Yes, in the college I had taken that class. Intermediate filaments, and they are known as lamins. They are approximately 10 nanometer in diameter. There are three nuclear lamins, lamin A, B, and C present. So if you look at this particular nuclear lamin structure, you find something like this. This is known as like a helix. It's a rod-like alpha helical coiled central section. So two strands are coiled. So every protein, it has got an N-terminal site where there are amino sites, and it ends with a COOH or a C-terminal site. Similarly, these proteins are nothing like this, and ends of the sides are phosphor. It's like it's got a globular head. This side is coiled helical, but the N-terminal has got a globular head. The head is globular. It looks like this. So during cell division, you know that this particular nuclear membrane dissolves. So that starts with dissolving of the lamins. The lamins also dissolve during cell division. The lamins also dissolve during cell division, and that is by phosphorylation. I have sent this note in the WhatsApp also. If you can read it very fast today, it will be very easy for you to remember. During cell division, there is a cell division promoting factor known as MPS, and this causes phosphorylation. And in this phosphorylation, this wonderful network which was there, this network, lamin filament network, which you see, the one which is represented in this region here, this is destroyed. And then, of course, the endoplasmic reticulum and all these organelles, they get destroyed. Now we go to the study the structure of the nuclear pore complex. This complex consists of an assembly of 8 spokes attached to rings. So what are spokes? If you see a cycle, the wheel of a cycle, you'll have from the center certain rod-like structure attached. So these in the cycle wheel, this is known as spoke. This is the spoke. It's also called as spoke. So if we see the picture here clearly, let me increase the size. No, one side smaller is okay. So have a look at this picture. This is the outer membrane, outer nuclear membrane, inner nuclear membrane. This region, double layer membrane. Now, this is the nuclear ring to which 8 spoke ring assembly takes place. So 8, like you say, 8 of them go around the ring. This is a cross section. So if you see, it's like a cycle wheel. The spoke. 8 of these rings. This is one ring. This is another ring. Like this. These are rings. Inside there is a central transporter protein. Again below there is another nuclear ring. Above there is a nuclear ring. Then there are rods like these, 4 of them. They form the nuclear basket. They are attached to another ring here. So this is the nuclear, how the nuclear pore complex is associated. So it has got a diameter of 120 nanometer and estimated molecular mass is 125 million daltons. That is 30 times the size of a ribosome. It is consisting of invertebrates 50 to 100 different types of proteins. So what they do, they control the traffic of molecules between nucleus and cytoplasm. They control the traffic. There are transcriptions, there are DNA transcription, transcription where DNA is transcribed to messenger RNA. There are certain transcription factors. These are proteins. They are known as their transcription factors. Their function is essentially to, from DNA to RNA. They enhance. Why they enhance, we will study much later, but these are these transcription factors. So since they will bind to a DNA, they have got a DNA binding domain. And they have got regions known as nuclear localization sequence and nuclear export sequence. We actually just concentrate on these two. Nuclear localization sequence, it binds to a protein known as importin alpha. So when when a protein has got this particular sequence known as nuclear localization sequence, to which importin alpha binds, and result of this is this, if this is in the cytoplasm, this protein goes inside the nucleus. If it is in the cytoplasm, it goes into the nucleus. Then it has this nuclear localization sequence. It goes into the nucleus, and then, as you know, transcription takes place inside the nucleus. It will enhance transcription. And mRNA will be formed, it will be exported outside. And now, when this mRNA is formed, it is exported outside. But say once this particular protein has gone inside the nucleus, it has finished its function of transcription. It has to be removed outside. It has also got a sequence known as nuclear export sequence. It binds to another protein known as exportin alpha. Result of which is that this protein from the nucleus, it goes back to the cytoplasm. So coming inside the nucleus and going outside out from the nucleus to the cytoplasm, this process is known as shuttling. Coming in and going out. अंदर आ रहा है, बाहर जा रहा है, भीतर आके जाते हैं. This is known as shuttling. You will hear this word several times. It's a shuttle to and fro from one point to another point. One point is from the cytoplasm point to the nucleus point, then again from the nucleus point to the cytoplasmic point. Now let us see how it works. Let us look at this picture. From point 1, let us check from point 1. What happens in point 1? The cargo is nothing but your protein. That protein has got this black spot, that has got this black spot over here. This is the cargo. Cargo has got this black spot, and that is the nuclear localization signal. It binds to another compound known as RAN-GDP complex. RAN-GDP complex. Now, when this binds, it forms this importin cargo complex. Then, through the nuclear pore, it enters inside. After binding of importin alpha, now it by this GDP which has come inside RAN GDP, this becomes this GTP hydrolysis, guanosine triphosphate hydrolysis. It becomes a RAN GTP complex, plus you have this cargo plus importin plus this nuclear localization signal of the protein present. And the protein is released outside. This will now go and do its work of enhancing transcription. Now, this importin will then, it needs to be recycled back to the cytoplasm. Through this, it goes out, then hydrolysis takes place, and importin is separate, and the cycle repeats. Could you understand this? বলতে পারো, বুঝতে পেরেছো কিনা?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is how a protein enters, and then this cycle, it just practice 2-3 times, you will be able to understand it. Similarly, export. You have this protein known as exportin. This protein has got this violet color nuclear export signal. RAN GTP binds to this. This complex goes out. In the presence of RAN GAP, what happens? All the 3 components break. And again, this cycle goes on. This is, we are talking about export. Here, we had talked about import. Now we are talking over here about export. This is what happens over here. Next, we come to the next part, which is known as nucleolar. So before I start nuclear, now you are clear why some proteins are nuclear and some proteins are cytoplasmic. Say if the nuclear protein has got a very strong nucleus localization signal, so lot of this will go, and all the proteins once made in the cytoplasm or endoplasmic reticulum will go inside your cell and inside the nucleus of the cell and stay there, and it becomes a nuclear protein. If it's got a very weak export signal, then predominantly it will stay inside the nucleus. But if the export signal is very strong, whatever nucleus which comes inside your whatever protein which comes inside the nucleus because of the localization signal, that is all removed out. So because of a strong export signal, NES. So a balance of NLS, nuclear localization signal, and NES, it determines whether that particular protein is nuclear or cytoplasmic. Now let us talk about nucleus. Within the nucleus, there is the nucleolus. and some people call it a nucleolar organizing region. They say that this is the site of ribosome synthesis, ribosome biosynthesis rather. They say that it is the site of ribosome biogenesis. Biogenesis means it's synthesis in living organisms. So basically you see it has got a fibrous-like fibrillar center. This is the region where RNA transcription takes place. Ribosomal RNA transcription. There are three types of RNAs. One is messenger RNA, one is transfer RNA, and the other third type is ribosomal RNA. These ribosomal RNAs are present inside the ribosome. So ribosomal RNA transcription takes place over here. Outside these dot-like structures are there. They are the granular components, the pre-ribosome assembly. And you have a dense fibrillar component for pre-RNA processing. So one hand, the center, this ash-colored region, it's where RNA transcription takes place. And in the dense fibrillar region surrounding this region, there pre-RNA processing takes place. Pre-RNA, this big RNA which is transcribed, it is broken down into smaller pieces. Like you can see from here, these are the ribosomal proteins. They enter the nucleus through the pores. It enters here, over here. Here inside the nucleolus, this ribosomal RNA is transcribed, and you can see over here it is being processed. And you can see the processing takes place. It breaks down into units. I will explain later what S stands for, 5S. Right now, currently, keep it in mind, it means the size. 5S is small, 18S is larger. It's something like a size of it. It's in a density wise. S stands for Swedberg constant. So because when you run it in the centrifuge, they go, these bands in a particular medium, they go and they settle in one places. So you can call the lightest one on the top 5S, the heaviest one maybe 23S, whatever. You can call them like this. This is a Swedberg constant, which is seen in a density gradient centrifugation. So then you have these three ribosomal particles are formed over here, and they come out, and you have the ribosome 40S unit and the 60S subunit. The 40S unit is the 60S is on the top, 40S is below, and in between you have the mRNA, and then the translation takes place. So ribosome is synthesized. So this is the place, nucleolus is the place where this particular function takes place. So this picture shows you a 45A precursor RNA which is transcribed. Modifications take place. Some chemical modifications take place, red dots and purple dots. Then cleavage, and it breaks into 18S, 5S, and 28S RNA. They break down into smaller pieces. All takes place. The nucleolus is responsible for this. Apart from that, you have SNO-RNA, guide RNA, and RNA processing. The nucleoli contain large number of small nucleolar RNA that function in pre-RNA processing. So this small nucleolar RNA, so a pre-RNA, there is a big RNA is there. This RNA has to be processed. For example, this 45S RNA is cleaved out and assembled into this. For that, this small RNA, SNO-RNA, they bind to these particular regions, and they make there are some chemical modifications which take place. So result that there is a cleavage from here. So small nucleolar RNA is responsible for your level. Remember that this is responsible for RNA processing. Processing means breaking down of this big RNA into smaller ribosomal RNA. So let us stop this nucleus at this point. Next day we will talk about chromatin. Next day or much later. So read this chromatin much later. This will need a special class for chromatin. First, we must check once more whether in your new syllabus you have chromatin there or whether it is up to this. Okay, so I'm halting it at this point. So after this, I would like to go to the next part which is I had planned today. That is digestion and feeding in non-chordates. Is this visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So today we will talk, right now we will talk about feeding and digestion in protozoa. So protozoa is essentially, single cell organism. This is a single cell organism. The process of feeding and digestion is intracellular. So what is when you eat something, the food, your digestion which takes place inside your stomach, it is not intracellular. You have enzymes released into your stomach, the enzymes released into your intestine from the pancreas and other organs, and they break the food into smaller particles for digestion. But in the case of proto, there's only got it's a single cell. So everything is done, all the physiological processes are done in one cell only. And therefore, you can say safely that digestion is intracellular. However, there are certain variations. There is the process is known as phagocytosis. And let us see what phagocytosis is. Phagocytosis is also from a larger term that is known as endocytosis. So those who have joined later in this group, I have got recordings of my class on YouTube. I will send them to you. You can listen to those classes once more, as many times as you want, so that you'll be quite happy with it. Okay, so the first step of phagocytosis is engulfment. So pseudopodia or finger-like projections, they engulf these food particles and they go inside a food vacuole. Now, several lysosomes containing digestive enzymes, they come and they fuse here. So inside the food particles, now you have digestive enzymes present. Then the digestion starts to take place over here. And after digestion, all the broken into smaller particles, it goes out to be absorbed by the body for function, cellular function. And the waste products are removed by the process of exocytosis. So this process of entry, this entry is known as endocytosis. And when you and this another word for this is when it's eating food, it's known as phagocytosis. If liquid is taken like this, it is known as pinocytosis. This is the process which takes place in amoebas. Amoeba is Amoeba proteus. Then you have celiophorans. You have heard the most famous celiophorans, Paramecium. But there are several celiophorans. So the mechanism of feeding in celiophorans, they vary greatly. They can be predators, bacteriivores, that means they eat bacteria, herbivores, plant materials, and they might live on detritus, organic foods, decomposing material. The predation mechanism can be active Active means it actively runs after the prey for eating, or they may wait. When the prey comes and sits on top of it, cup kore it will eat up. So that is known as ambush prey, ambush predator. And active means it chases, like a tiger, it will chase. And ambush means it's going to sit in one place, like the Venus fly trap. When a fly comes and sits, cup, it will take it up. Several of them are filter feeder or suspension feeder. That is that the cilia on their body, they act as net and they filter food particles which are entering inside. So let us look at this picture of a paramecium, how it's eating. It's got a region, a groove, एक गड्ढा है, একটা গর্ত এরকম আছে, তাকে বলা হচ্ছে oral groove. It's known as oral groove. It leads inside a region known as vestibule. This vestibule leads into a region, the cell mouth, your mouth known as cytostome. It's got a buccal cavity also before. Vestibule, it narrows down to a buccal cavity. And it has got a region, this is also known as cell mouth. Mouth, cytostome. In some species, you have a pharynx-like region known as cytopharynx. So food goes inside. Similarly, lysosomes fuse and it's removed through. This is known as cell anus. Hope I am clear in this. So you can see that this is a diadinium. It is another ciliate. This is a paramecium, and this is the diadinium. How it is eating? It goes and attaches it gradually. It engulfs it, and then it eats it inside. Phagocytosis takes place. Like the same thing which happening when paramecium eats something. When somebody eats paramecium like diadinium, this is the same thing which happens. This step goes to this step, this goes to this, and then finally they have eaten the paramecium. This is a real photo. This is the process. Similarly, the first step is food enters inside the food vacuole. Then little acid granules, they come and they fuse over here. Then small vesicles, they pinch out. They become smaller. They condense. And some acid goes inside. This is the step which is different from that of amoeba. The pH becomes low. Some acid granules go and enter and make the pH very acidic over here. And then lysosomes fuse and then enzymes are added. Digestion takes place. Then they come out and absorption takes place. And from the cytoproct, the waste is eliminated. It is very similar. So with this, I end my class. Do you people have any questions?
স্যার আপনি যে র্যান জিডিপিটা বললেন, র্যান জিডিপি কমপ্লেক্স, স্যার ওই ইম্পোর্টের সময় আর এক্সপোর্টের সময় দুটোই তো বাইরে গিয়ে হাইড্রোলিসিস হয়ে ওটা জিটিপি থেকে জিডিপি হচ্ছে না?
এক্স্যাক্টলি।
আর স্যার এক্সপোর্ট আর ইম্পোর্টের ডিফারেন্সটা তাহলে শুধু মানে ওই ইম্পোর্টিন আর প্রোটিন আর এক্সপোর্টিন প্রোটিনের মধ্যেই হচ্ছে?
এক্স্যাক্টলি। আর সিকোয়েন্সটা ট্রান্সক্রিপশন ফ্যাক্টরে একটা ইম্পোর্ট সিকোয়েন্স থাকে, একটা এক্সপোর্ট সিকোয়েন্স থাকে।
ওকে স্যার,
ঠিক আছে। বেসিক্যালি খুব একটা বেশি তফাৎ নেই। র্যান ইজ মানে মেন ফাংশন ইজ বেসিক্যালি টু প্রোভাইড এনার্জি। ইট ক্যান বি এনি টাইপ অফ আ র্যান, ঠিক আছে, ইট ক্যান বি এনি টাইপ অফ র্যান প্রোটিন। হ্যাঁ, so there are several types of, it may not be the same RAN for importing of this protein or that RAN for exporting another protein. That RAN is a group of proteins, okay? So family of proteins. So it is not exactly that A and B. It belongs to the same group. There may be 20-30 types of RAN. They belong to a family. Okay,
okay sir. Yes sir.
But basically it's the same family which is working. The main function, hydrolyzing GTP to give energy to go inside and go outside. And there is the sequence, export sequence, import sequence to which it binds. Okay. Any other questions? Yes? Nisab, any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, then I am ending my class. I will tell you within 2-3 days, I will take another class again.
Okay, sir.
Okay, I'm ending my class right now. I will send you the recording after some time.